Hi, and welcome back to Inspired Alchemy with Lizzie. This is episode 30. It feels like a celebration and a check in point. I have talked to a couple of different people about burnout and what it feels like in your body. And while I know that I did the alchemy of rest in a previous episode, I think that it is important to revisit it and check in with it because so many of us are trying to do all of the things. And with the conversations that I've had over the past couple of weeks, and I've seen people starting to burn out, or they're in the process of trying not to burn out, I think that it's important to talk about rest again. So for myself, I've talked about it before, but I'll talk about it again. And actually, my brother is the one who inspired this episode because up until now, I'm like, I don't know what the heck I'm going to talk about. Like, what am I going to talk about? I was actually feeling anxiety about it. And then I got a little brief thing earlier where I was talking to a friend and I'm like, oh, that's got to be really hard having to deal with work. And then, really, on the other side of it, your brain is trying to be creative and all this stuff, but then you're dealing with corporate, right? And then my brother calls me when I'm actually thinking about, I have no idea what I'm going to do. And he is like, hey, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to do some music stuff and I'm going to do this and that because he's been going hard and he's been hustling. But we talked about how as you get older, you start to realize those signs of like, okay, I'm not burned out. I can still hustle for a bit longer, but is that what's going to be best for me? And the answer is normally no, that's not what's best. Your nervous system needs a chance to catch up. And if you're constantly bombarding it, you're you're it's gonna be like, no, I don't want to work anymore, right? So I think it's important to revisit this because I'm seeing it and a lot of people, and I'm also trying not to burn out myself. I'm working on some really amazing projects and I'm being like, but I'm being pulled in different directions, which I'll eventually figure it all out, right? This is what life is about. But still, I can feel what could be burnout. But when society is telling you, keep going, keep pushing, um, if you rest, you're lazy, whatever it is. Oh no, don't take time off. Um, no, you can't have a life. You need to consistently pound the ground and work and all of these things. But human beings were not created for the society that we live in. We were not born, obviously, evolution happens, but at our core, we want to be in the woods and we want to be communing with nature and we want to be doing these things and living our lives and picking berries at the core of who we are, right? I mean, maybe not everybody's like that, but most of the human beings I know, when they start to burn out, where's the first place they want to go? They want to go into nature. Yeah, some people will sit in front of the TV, but even the TV gets boring. And then what do? So that's what I'm going to talk about today is burnout and possibly ways to determine whether or not you are going into burnout or if you're like teetering on that edge. And I do want you to realize that we need time to rest in order to keep moving forward. We need time of integration for transformation to happen. If we're constantly going, yes, that can be alchemical, but at the same time, to what point? Eventually, the alchemist will go, I have no idea what things to mix anymore to get the gold. I'm tired. I'm a mess. My lab is a mess. I don't know what to do. So, at some point, we have to take a step back. It's kind of like when my daughter gets frustrated with something. And I'm like, hey, instead of like freaking out about it, why don't you step away from whatever it is? And then you can come back when you're clearer minded. It could just be as simple as that. Rest for the brain. There are 7 different types of rest, and I might try to include that, like a little PDF with that, with the show notes. But honestly, I don't know how to do that yet. But I promise I'll get better at it. So I want you to think about, and this might hit for some people, it might not. Think about metals being forged. They need cooling periods between heat because if you don't, things are going to crack. When a human being is under too much pressure in a world that was we've created this society and this culture of hustle, but that's not originally how we are. We're hunters, we're gatherers, we're wanderers, we're natural beings. And in a world that is full of so much chaos and so much stimulation, it can be a lot for a nervous system that wasn't meant for that. So obviously, burnout will happen. And then it kind of perpetuates this cycle of like push, push, push. And then I don't understand why I can't do anything. I have no motivation. I'm tired. I don't feel good. My body is doing whatever it's doing and it's shutting down. Or I don't want to hang out with my friends. Or I'm just tired. And it is a thing. And that's because there's too much all the time. And nobody is resting because rest is supposedly bad. We need rest, and I will continue to say this throughout this episode. We need rest for integration. We need rest for transformation. We need rest to find that gold that we are looking to create, the gold of our soul. Like I said, we need time to integrate so that creativity can incubate within us because eventually we will get tired. And burnout isn't about just being tired. It's our nervous system saying, I can't carry this load anymore. There's too much. Again, that stimulus that I was talking about. And for me, I can tell when I'm starting to overload, I get irritable. And I'm not saying like I'm going to rest for like days and days and days, but even if I need to step away from something that I've been working on, or I need to step away from someone or something, I will start to feel an irritability. I will start to feel like I am disassociating. I'm not hearing conversations. I'm kind of just on autopilot. And when I start seeing these things happen, I'm like, oh, I need to take a step back and see what I actually need. But we normally only recognize burnout after it's happened. It's important to understand what you're feeling within your body before the burnout happens. Some other things that happened to me, and again, this is kind of like I'm working through this process because of the conversations I just had this morning, but my body will just be extremely tired. Again, I will be irritable, um, brain fog, which for me is actually happening right now. I think that might be why I had anxiety about this because the brain fog has been pretty consistent. I'm also having some flare ups of health issues, which could also be part of it. But the brain fog, I am still feeling very creative, but I explained in, I think it was the previous episode, that I just needed to rest. I took a day and I just laid out on the couch. I'm not saying that's what rest always has to look like, but sometimes if you have to be a potato, you have to be a potato. And that's okay. It's okay to potato. We're not meant to be doing things all of the time. And when you are trying to do things all of the time, and I'm not a mental health professional here, that's normally indicative of a trauma response. And I know people like that, where you're constantly having to be busy. When your nervous system feels like it can finally rest, then you don't have to be busy all of the time. It's okay to just sit with yourself. But again, not a mental health professional. It's just things that I have witnessed in my journey and just something to think about. So I talk about as I'm getting older, I'm noticing these things. But what's important to me is to be able to have people that are younger than me, like my daughter, and her friends, or maybe people that are listening, understand early on so that when they get to their 40s or 50s, they're not like, oh, this is just how life is. It's just going to be terrible from now on. I don't want that. I want people to understand early on that doing these things are like, and resting and taking time to integrate is what we need to do, so that by the time they're 40, in their 40s, they're not trying to figure it out like me. What I also want to talk about is rest is not a reward for doing something. I'm going to say that again. Rest is not a reward. Rest is a necessity. If we don't rest, our bodies do not have the energy, the space, or the time to integrate things and to heal. Rest is not a reward, it's a necessity for living and being alive. Because if our bodies are not working, then and they're shutting down and our nervous system is shot, then things get real squirrely real quick. So when I was talking to my friend today that his brain is split between having to do work for work and being creative, he even told me, hey, I'm taking a couple of minutes. I'm going to get a coffee and I just need a couple of minutes because my brain is fried for whatever he had to do. It's not what he wanted to be doing. It wasn't creative. It wasn't flowing things for him that his soul and his mind enjoy. So he took a minute. He made a coffee. We talked for a couple of minutes. And then he was just taking time to recalibrate and do what he needed to do, even if it was 10 minutes to rest, and then he continued to move forward. And sometimes that's all it takes. If you start to feel yourself get that way, take some deep breaths, listen to some music, do some doodling, find something, step outside, take some sun in, some fresh air, whatever it is. Take that time that you need so that your brain doesn't get overloaded, overstimulated, overwhelmed, leading to eventually it manifesting within your body. So, rest is kind of layered. You have physical rest, you have mental rest, emotional rest, creative rest, and spiritual rest. And I believe that there's another one, but I can't remember it right now. Spiritual rest is like taking time in nature, breathing, doing the things that you are natural to human beings. Creative is letting things be messy. I guess I do that all of the time. So I'm just going to leave that there because I'm just one big ball of mess, and that's okay. Mental is less stimulus. Get off the screens, quiet, just pause. You don't need to continuously be inputting data into your body. I'm just going to leave that one there. And then physical rest is sleep or stillness or just allowing yourself to be in a moment. I know that this episode is kind of bullet pointed in some places. I actually had notes this time because my brain is foggy and there are things that I wanted to bring to this episode. So I had to write down things as I remembered them and as I was going, because if not, I would have been like, I have all these things to talk about and I forgot them all. It happens. But again, figuring out in your body what it's going to look like for you, or what burnout looks like for you, and stopping it before it starts, and allowing yourself to do these with these things without feeling guilty. It's like, hey, yo, I am overstimulated. My brain is going crazy. I need to step back from what I'm doing for a second. Even if that means you have to step away and go take 5 minutes for yourself. I know, especially for parents, that can be really challenging. I get it. But and being honest about it. Like my daughter's going to be 15. I've always been honest with her, and she'll know. She'll be like, "Hey mom, I know you're not okay. You don't look okay, but like, do you need anything?" And obviously this is not my child's job to take care of me, but I'm like, "No, I don't need anything. I appreciate that. I'm working through whatever it is." Um I said I just need a moment, and then I'll keep going, and I'll do whatever it is that I need to do. And sometimes she'll just I'm sorry, sometimes I'll just wake up and I'll be a certain way, and I will tell her in the morning when she gets up, I'm like, "Hey," like I did this week. I'm like, "Hey, I'm having a day, like a moment, not even a day. So if I'm weird throughout the day, I want you to know that it has nothing to do with you. I'm tired, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to kind of handle all of the things that I'm trying to juggle." Because even though I am doing this podcast, and even though I've been on this journey for a while, the deeper levels, and it's not like a done journey. It's not like alchemy. You come to this thing one day, and while you do become whole as humans, we have things that happen to us on a consistent basis that we need to work through. So even if we've gone through our childhood trauma and our teenage years and all of these different things, we are, like Shrek says, even though we're not ogres, we're like onions and we have layers. And as you go into those layers, sometimes things get messy and things get a little bit wonky. And I had a big period of time where I think I was integrating, and everything just flowed so easily. And not that things don't flow easily now, but I was like, man, I've hit this. Like I've hit where I feel really good. And then I decided to go into deeper work. And then I was like, oh, okay. I that was cute, Liz. You thought that you were done, and I wasn't. But I took that time to rest, and I took that time to integrate what I had learned before so that I can move into whatever this next level is that I'm moving into. And I say it's my biggest level because it has to do with, I've said this before, my health and things like that. So, really taking control of what it means for you to be healthy on all layers and levels, and not just skate by and not just bypass. Rest is necessary for all of the things that we want to accomplish. I do think that is all I have for you today. I really hope that this helps somebody out there to even feel a little less guilty about taking the time they need so that things take less time. As always, you aren't broken. No matter what people try to tell you, no matter what is happening in your life, you are not broken. Life can be a lot sometimes. We can get overstimulated, like I said. We can hit burnout because we are trying to make sense of things that sometimes don't make sense. Not for the human, not for the soul. So keep alchemizing. For me, that's the way through all of this. It's just alchemy. It's perpetual alchemy, inspired by everything around me. Whether that be triggers, or glimmers, or the people I speak to, or the places I go, I'm constantly finding inspiration. Just like the talk that I had with my brother today when I was like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about because he's a podcaster. And he goes, "Well, why don't you talk about burnout? That's what we're talking about." And I'm like, "Well, I've done it on rest already, but I think maybe you're right." And so I went straight from that call into doing this. I find inspiration everywhere. I'm grateful for everything, even the hard times, because they help me see the good. And I'm grateful for the darkness because it helps me see the stars. You are not broken. And I've said that a couple of times, and I will continue to say it because the people that I've spoken to recently feel that way. Don't let anybody make you feel like that. As always, thank you for being here. I appreciate your time because it is a precious resource. And until next time, keep creating alchemy.